Well, hi everybody. This is Steve Washer with BrainyVideo.com, and I'm very happy today to have with me Danny Iny from Firepole Marketing. As you may or may not know, Danny is in the middle of a big launch right now for Course Builders Laboratory, which we have gotten squarely behind, and we'll find out why in just a moment. But I wanted to talk with Danny here for a couple of minutes anyway, and let you in on this conversation, because I have a lot of questions about, and you may too, about where Danny comes from, his lineage, and his journey as a marketer, which I'm very interested in, because Danny started online anyway. I think was it around 2011, Danny?
Yep, January 2011, I started at basically zero. And hi, everyone, by the way.
So everybody say hi to Danny. And yeah, this is very informal. Listen, I have to tell you, we're in a snowstorm here in Connecticut, and we're completely packed in. I'm stuck in my home office here because I can't get out to my office, so I'm using an ancient computer here with a really old webcam on it. So I hope this comes across. Anyway, enough of the excuses. Let's get to the good stuff here. So, Danny, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Things have changed a lot in business in the last few years, and I think largely because of the internet. We have some strange things going on these days that we never had before in business. And one of the things that has intrigued me a lot is this idea of information overload. We get, once we get interested in a topic like SEO or social media or video marketing or building courses, and we get on a few lists, all of a sudden we are bombarded with information every day. And so you listen to this guy and he's got a good idea, and listen to this guy and he's got a good idea, and then you make the mistake of trying to put it all together for yourself. And I think that what happens is this concept that I don't remember if I heard it somewhere, but I'm using it, called learned helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit and how you actually overcame that to get where you are today.
Sure. I think that's a really, really great question, because it's really, really common. I see it with people all the time. I was manning our sales chat last night, and someone gets on the chat and he says, can you tell me about this course? And he's on the sales page, right? So I say, well, what do you mean? Do you have questions? He's like, well, I think you sent me a lot of emails, but, I haven't read them. So can you tell me what the course is about? And it's true. It's like people get so afraid to kind of look and read and review and think for themselves because they've been bombarded with all these different ideas, which is really scary, because if you're just getting started, if you're not an expert yet, you're probably not equipped to evaluate what is good and what is not good, right? Because you don't know what's going to work and what's not.
Right, right. And so I just wanted to ask sort of where you came from that gave you, I guess, the discernment to be able to tell the good stuff from the bad stuff, and who you were going to follow. Did you have any online mentors that you worked with?
Mm-hmm. I had a few online mentors. So I came from Montreal, but that's not what's responsible for my relative success online. Mm-hmm. Part of it is the people that I followed. I followed some really great people. I learned from friends and mentors like John Morrow and like Clay Collins and Corbett Barr and some other really great people. Mm-hmm. But it's not just who I learned from, because I also hung around with a lot of other really smart people, and frankly, a lot of people that, I shouldn't have trusted and I shouldn't have followed. Like most people online, I've spent, more money than I'd like to count on programs that went nowhere and systems that didn't work. That's just kind of the reality of the path that many people are on. So the question is, how did I get past those? How did I find the good people? How did I learn to develop the discernment, as you said, to know what works and what doesn't? And the answer is that I learned it by getting out there and doing stuff. If you get out of learning mode and get into doing mode, all the different ideas, they stop being parallel ideas, because some of them get results and some of them don't. And sometimes they line up with what you were told they're going to create, and sometimes, again, they don't. And you start weighing that. You develop a discernment. Like you said, you develop an ability to look at all this information and say, well, this makes sense. This lines up with what I've seen happen in the world, and this stuff doesn't. So it's all about taking kind of all these ideas and stopping to learn, getting out there, starting to do.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think there comes a time when, well, let's look at it this way. When you come online with a business, you have a core set of expertises. You know, there's something that you know a
Sure.
lot about and you want to bring it to the world, and you have been bringing it to the world offline. And then when you come online, it's a question of translation. But it's as we've been talking about here, this strange mixture of ideas that you can run into that can really mess you up. So how you stay grounded and centered, because for example, there may be, I know that there's a lot of systems that do work. Almost anything can work, but not everything works for everybody.
Hmm.
So how would you go about discerning what might work for you versus what might work better for someone else?
So there's a couple of things there. The first is that a lot of systems are out there, and a lot of systems make it look like there's a lot more pieces of the puzzle than there really are.
Mhm.
At a high level, and tell me if you disagree, but at a high level, most businesses can be boiled down to two pieces. You've got traffic and you've got conversion, right? If you've got enough people coming to you and enough people converting and buying, you're good.
Mhm.
If one of those pieces is not working, then you've got a problem. Is that fair as a starting point?
I think that's fair, sure.
So, and most people would look at that and say, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Now, it's actually even simpler than that, though, because in point of fact, most traffic problems are not really traffic problems. They're conversion problems in disguise. Because if your conversions are good, you can always get traffic. If people who see what you're offering, they get excited and they want to buy it, then you can always get traffic, whether it's by just directly paying for it by running ads, or indirectly paying for it by teaming up with a lot of great joint venture partners who will tell their audiences about it and you pay them a commission, or very indirectly by doing the free traffic strategies where you're creating videos and creating content and doing all this stuff that is free, but it takes your time or somebody else's time, which is worth money. So if the conversions are great, you can always get traffic. Most people do not have great conversions, though. So the question then, the one question, like underlying really any success online is, well, how do you create an offer that converts? What's responsible for conversion? And if you ask 10 internet marketing experts, you're going to get 30 different answers, right? People are going to talk about, well, you need a great headline, and you need good text on your buttons, and you need trust seals, and you need fascination bullets, and you need, they'll give you a long list of things that you should split test. And I would respectfully disagree with all of that. I think all of those things can have an impact. All of those things can influence conversions, but the only thing responsible for conversions is the offer. If you're selling something that people want, they will buy it. If you're selling something people don't want, they won't buy it. And if it's something people don't want, you can optimize your headline and your button text and all that, but at the end of the day, if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, and nobody's going to want it. And if you're selling something that people do want, people are going to buy it. And sure, you can tweak things and make it better, but that's just gravy, right? So at the core, all of it comes down to, are you selling something that people really want?
I've heard it said that if you have something that people want, you can have lousy marketing, and that copywriting is going to account for maybe 20% of your success if you can break it down that way. And as you said, if you have something that people don't want, there's really no amount of copywriting that can help. And in fact, if it could only help 20% in the first place, you're kind of dead in the water, aren't you?
You're even worse than dead in the water, because your worst case scenario is that you get a fantastic copywriter who can convince people to buy it, even though it's something they don't want, which temporarily makes you think your conversions are great. You pour a lot of money into it, spend a lot of money, get a bunch of conversions, then you've got a buttload of customers that hate you and want their money back.
I made a video about that one time, about the genie and the marketers, and we talked about if a marketer could have their fondest wish, and one of them was, well, I want it's like everyone in the world to come to my website. Oh, that's fantastic. Then no one will buy from you. And then the other one was, I want everyone to buy from me, and it was that nightmare scenario where everyone bought, and then it put his system under. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And speaking of video, Danny. I'm sure that my folks are interested in this. Where are you in your video journey? I mean, I know that you did a couple of pre-launch videos this time, And are you doing a lot of DIY stuff, or are you having people shoot your videos, or what's going on at Firepole with video?
Well, DIY is a relative spectrum because do it yourself depends on, how are we, what is myself? What is us? Firepole is a team of 15 people. So when we do video, we have a little room with a white wall with a camera pointing at it. We've got some lights. The whole setup, the lights were, a couple $100 on eBay. We finally switched up to a nicer, more expensive camera, which someone on my team said would be better, but I have no idea. We've got a nice heavier tripod with a like teleprompter thing on it with an iPad for the prompter. But it's still pretty simple. I mean, honestly, like if you look at our launch videos, I think they're very good. I think the content there is fantastic. And that's where I spent most of my energy.
Yes.
I also think they're a little bit fuzzy. Like I think we did a great job for what we had. And next time I hope we'll do better. I mean, I'm looking forward to developing the expertise on my team to know how to really work the settings on our new camera.
That's great. Send them down to Windsor and I'll fix them right up. So do you plan to use more video in your marketing? Or actually, let me ask you a more general question. What do you see as the role of video in marketing, generally speaking? We know that you believe in it for doing pre-launch videos, but what else?
I think video is a great, rich media, and it allows you to do a few things that other media don't, or to greater degree in some cases than other media. So, and it'll depend a lot on what your business is and what's appropriate. You can, first of all, you can show things in video, which you can't in audio. You sort of can in text with diagrams or stuff like that, but it depends what you're trying to do. There are some things that you can communicate better through video. You captivate more of the senses, the eyes, the ears, you can really communicate ideas in a more effective way. Now, sometimes that's great. Sometimes it's not, because there's a trade-off, right? When you're creating video, like if I'm watching a video, I've got to sit in front of my computer and watch it. And that's great if it's a short video and it's entertaining and it's fun. It's also great if it's a longer video, but it's, I'm not watching them all that often and there's a reason to justify it. And, in the case of our pre-launch videos, they're a little bit longer. They're about 20 and a bit minutes long. But, most of the reason why people are going to buy is that obviously they're excited about what we're going to deliver, but they also trust me to deliver. So seeing me and hearing me matters. But, I wouldn't do, we do a podcast that we publish every week or twice a week. The frequency is kind of in flux at the moment. And each episode is, I tell my guests that, each episode is 20 minutes long, and I usually fail at keeping it to 20 minutes. So we'll run over, but, not that much. I wouldn't do that in video, not just because it's, more work and all that, but because people like to listen to podcasts when they're out jogging or when they're driving or when they're cleaning the house or whatever, and they couldn't do that with a video.
Dan. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I love video. I think it's a very rich and valuable media. But I encourage people to use the richest media that is justified by what they're trying to do and no richer.
We do a podcast as well, a video podcast without video. And we call it putting video in your ear. And it's for the exact same reasons. If you're on the riding lawnmower or you're on your way to work, it gives you something fun to listen to. So I absolutely agree with you on that. Sometimes audio is definitely the best way to go as far as rich media is concerned. So let's shift over now and talk about the reasons why all this might be necessary, and that might be, of course, to bring people to something that that you want them to have, something that you would like to sell them, like, for example, a course on building courses. For example, like I heard of this one recently called the Course Builders Laboratory, I think.
I've heard of that one. I've heard it's very, very good.
I've heard it's awesome. Actually, I saw the pilot project and it was great, which is why I'm promoting it now. I didn't know if you knew that. But can you tell us a little bit about what makes it different? Why are you so high on the course? Why are so many people high on the course?
Sure. So there's a lot of things that are great about the course. I like to think I'm justifiably proud of it. This is the best thing we've ever created, and we've done a lot in the last few years. I can't say why it's better because there isn't a lot out there being taught about product creation, right? Usually people divide up these two areas of product marketing and product creation as if they're separate things. And they're really not, because again, like we were saying, if you're selling something people don't want, all the marketing in the world isn't going to save you. And so this process teaches you how to, instead of retreating to your back cave, building this giant thing that, people end up not wanting, how do you figure out what is it that people want and validate right away? Let people raise their hands, raise their wallets and say, yes, I want to be in your pilot. I want to be a part of this. Let you bring money in the door just as you're getting started. And the best illustration of this idea, actually, it's Kickstarter, which we don't teach as a platform because it's not really appropriate to information products, which is what most of the people in our industry are doing. But I saw the other day, this is like, as we're recording this, it's like day 4, day 5 of this 30-day Kickstarter. This guy posted this idea. He wants to create a card game, a playing card game, and he was looking to raise $10,000. As of day 4, yesterday, he had raised, I think it was $4 million, some insane number. It just, people latched onto it, they love it, and they're on board.
4 days.
4 days, it's insane. And I could be getting the numbers wrong. Maybe it's 10 million. It's like something insane.
Astronomical. And it's a card game.
It's a card game, but he hit on something that people want.
Danny, we're in the wrong business. That's all there is to it.
Well, now, let's say though, because he's got this great result. He's very excited. I'm sure he's going to turn this into a huge thing. Mm-hmm. But there's also a whole bunch of projects on Kickstarter that aren't getting much traction at all. Mm-hmm. And people like to look at Kickstarter and say, haha, it doesn't work. But that's exactly the wrong way to look at it. If you have an idea, you put a pilot on offer, say, I'm going to do this, who's interested? And nobody raises their hand. Oh, that's fantastic.
You've saved yourself so much time and money and heartbreak down the line, haven't you?
Exactly. I mean, people, I think they like to come into it thinking that everything is sellable. You just need to be a good enough marketer, but that's not how it works.
I think, have you read the Lean Startup?
Mm-hmm. Our ideas are very aligned. This is almost exactly actually the Lean Startup for information entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one of the reasons I love this course so much, and one of the reasons that I am so glad that you're offering it in January of 2015, because the reason I got on board was that I want to help people with their videos. And by the way, I'm offering a big bonus for your course as well, which is I'm going to help.
What's the bonus?
I'm going to help everybody do their launch video. So I'm going to give them everything they need to make nice, crisp, clear, engaging videos for whatever product they happen to come up with by working with you and your people and going through your course content.
That's phenomenal. Thank you.
It's going to be phenomenal because they're going to come out of your course with number one, with an idea that's been validated, and number two, with some great concepts for how they're going to teach it. So that's going to give them a great start for putting these launch videos together, and whatever videos they decide to do after that, because the content that we'll be going through will empower them to make, really all kinds of videos, but it will be focused on this specific launch, and then they can, take those ideas later on. So I'm very excited about this, because quite frankly, I was thinking about making this product anyway, and now using the Lean Startup techniques, I'll be able to test it out, and get great feedback from people. And I've promised everyone that no one leaves without having all of their questions answered and having a great set of videos. But of course, the only way they can get it is by taking your course. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm very, very happy that you were able to offer this at this time, so that I didn't have to, because I knew it was going to be a huge undertaking, but a lot of people were asking for it. This is something I think that has been quite verified. You've got some verified learning here, Danny.
Absolutely.
And I think our folks are really excited about it. So I wanted to make sure that if there were any lingering questions about this, like what it was you were doing and how we were going about this, that we could sort of, set the record straight here.
I really appreciate your having me on to do this, and I really appreciate your support. We're getting a lot of students on board. This is going to be a start of something fantastic. I mean, the online marketing space, there's kind of a pendulum with trends. And for a long time, people are very excited about information products because, the margins are so high and they're so relatively easy to create and allows you to monetize your expertise in a scalable way that's not, dollars per hour, et cetera. And so the market was flooded with them, and most of them stunk. and people were not happy and they were not buying and they were refunding. And so the pendulum swung the other way. And so people were talking about apps, they were talking about physical goods on Amazon, they were talking about Kindle projects. And that's kind of reached a saturation point. And the pendulum's just about to swing back to no, the real opportunity is by monetizing your information, creating a product out of what you know how to do to empower others. You just have to do it right. And this is the year for that to happen. I'm excited for people to be a part of that.
Yeah, and let's just talk about the elephant in the room here for a moment too. Who you choose to work with, I think, is important. And I was thinking this morning about, I don't know if it was Zig Ziglar who said this, but I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for a lot of people, I know that's important for me. There are some really crazy good marketers out there, but I don't want to learn from them because I don't want to become like them. And I know they say, oh, well, you don't have to be like this. But in fact, they create their products in such a way that you actually wind up looking like them, sounding like them, talking like them. The voice that you write in becomes their voice. And even if you're not that kind of a person, you sound like you are that kind of a person. It's really important that if you want to stay authentic to who you are, that you've got to study with people who allow for that to happen. And that's one of the things I love about working with you, Danny, is that I know that you will give people that space to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think I guess that's it for today. I want to thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you in the cyberspace.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.